Hello, my name is Mandy Henderson. Today I'm going to share with you my leg alignment and feet strengthening exercises which have come from my dance technique workshops. So whenever we're doing anything, when we're looking at alignment, we need to be standing or working in really good posture. So that means standing nice and tall, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, sending the tailbone down towards the floor a little bit, having the shoulders absolutely level, the hips absolutely level. If you've got a contrasting t-shirt on, the bottom of that t-shirt should be level and parallel to the floor. Your knees facing forwards, and then your big toes on the same line and your insteps absolutely parallel. With the feet hip width apart. Hip width apart is actually the front sticky out bone of your hip, if you like, your ASIS, as opposed to the sides of your hips. So reasonably narrow. Then we want to think about our plumb line. Our plumb line is where our centre of gravity is. So it drops down from the crown of the head through the body, parallel to the spine, and when we're standing in good posture and the weight is evenly distributed, that plumb line falls immediately between both feet. So let's just play around with that a little bit. Let's just take the body round in a circle, noticing how your toes grip on as you go forwards. As the weight goes back into your heels, the toes tend to come up, the thighs switch on, just to stop you from falling over, really. So this is all about your body adjusting to where your plumb line is going. So we want to stop in the middle, with the weight evenly distributed between your big toe joint, your little toe joint, and your heels. So you could lift the heels up at any time, there's not too much weight back there, but also you should be able to wiggle your toes around a little bit. Now let's have a little look at the alignment of the whole leg. So if you just roll your feet inwards and outwards, and notice, just by maybe placing your hands on your legs, it affects all the way up your leg, from your ankle joint, through your knee, through your shin, up to the top of the hip, where the thigh bone inserts into the hip joint. So that has an effect on every single time we walk. So if the feet tend to be a little bit rolled in or rolled out, or you've got one foot going off at a jaunty angle but your knees still facing forwards, that's going to affect everything we do. And particularly when we want to be working in, the reason we want to be working in good alignment is because that is the most efficient place for the muscles and the body to move. The muscles, the joints, the tendons, the bones, it's the most efficient place. So we hopefully minimise our risk of injury. And then from there, we're going to look at bending the knees as much as you can. I've got quite tight ankles and calves and Achilles tendons, so I don't bend very far. But I haven't actually changed my upper body posture at all. I haven't stuck my bottom out so that I can bend forwards more. So I want your knees to go over your toes and just bend as much as you can personally bend, keeping your heels on the floor. Then try raising your heels off the floor as much as you can. Push the heels down and straighten the legs. So we're bending the knees without allowing the knees to roll in or out, trying to keep the ankle in line with those toes. Raising the heels, pushing the heels down with control, and then straightening the legs. It's very important to fully straighten the legs so that the muscles get used to standing or being in a straight leg posture, equally as important as being able to bend fully. We want the maximum range of motion in all the joints that we can. So one more time, raising the heels, pushing the heels down and straightening the legs. Then let's change this to lifting the heels up, keeping the ankle nice and strong. So if we don't keep control of the ankle as we come up or as we're going down, the ankles will naturally want to roll out. So you're collapsing in that ankle, rolling out towards your little toe joint. Imagine your big toe joint is like a guy rope. It's like a beautiful straight line all the way up to your spine, all the way up to the pubic bone. And that's where you want to sort of apply your most amount of pressure as you rise up onto the balls of the feet. Then let's combine those two movements. So bending the knees, raising the heels, now straightening the legs, and then lowering the heels with control. So all of this as well is really working on our balance. Let's reverse that up to the top. Raise the heels, bend the knees, no sticking the bottom out, keep the back as upright as possible. Push those heels down so you're getting a wonderful stretch in the calf and the Achilles. And again, bend the knees, raise the heels, straightening those legs. I'm losing my balance a little bit, but that's good to actually have a little bit of a wobble about, but also manage to recover. That's what the body does naturally all the time. The more practiced at this, the better your balance will be, and the better your body will be able to move in the most efficient movement pattern. Lifting up, bending the knees, pushing the heels down and straightening. Good, we're just going to do exactly the same thing but in turnout. So in order to achieve turnout, I want you to turn the legs out all the way from the hip socket, not just at the ankles. So from this parallel position, just push your heels together and then release back to neutral. Try and move both legs at the same time. So rather than sort of shuffling and just cheating a little bit and doing one leg at a time, lift it up onto the balls of your feet slightly, push your heels together and hold it there and then release. So if you do this several times, hopefully you'll start to become aware of the muscles that you need to use to come into turnout. And then make this last one here. So we're pushing the heels together. Try and make contact. If your heels don't go together, that's absolutely fine, but try and get the backs of your legs somewhere, maybe the calves, maybe the backs of the knees, but you'll definitely feel a little bit of work on the top of the thighs, inside thighs, and at your sort of gluteal fold at the back. Have a little look down at your feet and check that they're evenly turned out. So quite often we tend to just take those toes back a little bit too much. And as you can see on my right foot especially, that makes that whole arch collapse because I've cheated, I've overextended the ankle. So you want to be in a good neutral position, good, and thinking about that turnout. So then we're going to go again with that same exercise. So bending the knees as much as you can. Here you can see how I haven't got much of a bend. That's as far as I can go, keeping my heels down. Then I'm going to raise my heels, keeping my knees over my toes, so it's no different other than we've turned the whole leg out in the hip socket. Rising up, so a little bit harder on the balance. Bend the knees, push the heels down and straighten. And again, bend the knees, raise the heels, and pushing the heels together as you lower those heels. Push down and straighten. One last one. Great job. Okay, I'm just going to turn sideways onto the mirror now. So just having a little look at just that last part of the foot. So the toes, pointing the toes down. So we've done quite a lot of nice work extending the ankle. So now just standing on one leg, go through the foot. So there's no weight on my right leg as I'm doing this. And I'm just pointing those toes down. Trying the other side. So really making the muscles underneath the arch of your foot really work. And you need to have this amount of mobility, this amount of control and strength in the feet because it's going to affect everything you do. Okay, so let's add on a little bit of that rise and plie exercise. So we're taking the weight onto the balls of the feet, rising up on the heels, lowering one side with a straight leg, pointing those toes down, putting the toes back in to the floor, up onto the balls of the feet, lower with a straight leg and point. Toes, raise the heels. And because I've got my feet reasonably far apart, I'm rocking a little bit from side to side. Just want to add on for the last part, lowering with a straight leg, then bending that knee at the same time as you point that foot. And then up onto the balls of the feet, whoops, tough on the balance, bending this leg, pointing the toes. So I'm just going to twiddle around to face the front in the mirror. And I'm going to bring my feet a little bit closer together, which might hopefully help my balance a little bit more. So lowering that heel, bending the knee, pointing the toes. Up to the top. No, it didn't make any difference. Up to the top. And there. So as you can see, this is really tough, but a great exercise to do. So you could have your hands just resting, touching the wall or touching a chair or your kitchen worktop. Really going through that good alignment. And now my feet feel amazingly warmed up and raring to go.